We do have a couple of viewer questions.
Awesome.
First up, this one is from Andrew Max, and he says, now that Spider-Man Far From Home is seemingly introducing the multiverse, I've been thinking about what stories they could introduce. And I can't help but to think of the X-Men. Having already watched Dark Phoenix, I think the movie would have benefited a lot from an MCU type of treatment. I did like the movie, though, so much actually. How do you think they could introduce the X-Men? Well, both of us, we haven't seen X-Men Dark Phoenix, right?
No, I have not. I have not.
That's what I thought. Yeah, we haven't had a chance to check it out. At some point, I'm gonna go see the damn thing.
Me too.
But just gotta have time. I have a 2-month-old baby, so time is few and far between, except when we're recording this episode, obviously.
Right.
But I guess, Mike, do you have sort of a preference or kind of like a theory or an idea or what you would like them? A way to introduce the X-Men?
It's tough. And you kind of need the multiverse at this point because the X-Men are so woven into the fabric of like the traditional Marvel world as far as, mutants and mutants kind of being put down and treated as, subhuman. And we didn't have that in this Marvel universe because they didn't exist. We had gifted people.
Right.
So it's got to be some kind of timeline shenanigans. It's got to be some alternate timeline kind of.
Yeah.
And then maybe the timelines merge. But I don't think they can do this anytime soon, Matt. I don't. Hugh Jackman's too iconic as Wolverine, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. With Dark Phoenix bombing the way it has,
yeah,
I think if this Fox Disney merger happens 5 years ago, right after Days of Futures Past, then you could have salvaged it and you could have thrown some people in and done some things.
I agree. Yeah.
With Apocalypse and now Dark Phoenix kind of damaging the rep of this, you got to wait. You can't. Yeah. That was part of the problem with Spider-Man is they didn't wait long enough and they went with Andrew Garfield. And then the next time they introduced Spider-Man, they had to do it in a different movie before going with a brand, And maybe there's a Doctor Strange movie where they introduce the X-Men and they have some new young actor playing Wolverine and we're going to buy it. I don't know. That could happen. I don't have a good idea how to make this work because it's such a mess. I think the Fantastic Four you could do much easier because the last movie they did with Michael B. Jordan was so forgettable.
Yeah.
And Doctor Doom and Galactus are definitely characters that the MCU could benefit from having as villains, considering Thanos was pretty all powerful and those guys are about as close to that as you get. But I just they have a plan for it. Kevin Feige's a pretty smart dude. They have a plan for it. I'm not that smart, I guess. I don't have a way to make it work.
Yeah, the X-Men are too juicy of characters for Kevin Feige to not put his fingertips on and sort of stroke and caress them to bring them to the big screen. Like you said, I think the Fantastic Four will be the first ones to make their MCU debut. And those are characters where all you have to do is put them on a spaceship and fly them into outer space and they get their powers, where the X-Men are characters that are born with this mutant gene. So, and I brought this up, I don't know if it was the previous episode or 2 episodes ago, but how do you sort of do Magneto's origin of him being this, Auschwitz Holocaust survivor without him being 90 years old? You can't really do the traditional Magneto origin, and you need to have sort of that horrific moment in the character's life to make him resent humans. So I don't know, there might be a different way, or you could just not sort of touch it at all, just leave that kind of aspect about the character. But at the same time, I sort of want to get into that with the character. And I will say, like, Michael Fassbender, I think did a phenomenal job, especially in X-Men First Class with all of
Yeah.
that. Like that's probably one of my favorite parts about that movie, and that's a really underrated film, um, as well. Like you don't really hear that many people talk about X-Men First Class, but as far as like introducing the X-Men in the MCU, I think you have to wait at least 5 years at this
Yeah.
point. I
The
mean,
only way I see them doing it earlier, and this is far fetched because I think this character brings up a whole lot of different problems for him, but it's Deadpool, right?
yeah.
Deadpool is the only thing Fox really had going for it that was
Yep.
working.
Hmm.
And but you throw in this very R-rated character in with a series of movies that have not been very R. And so I don't know how you do that. So
Yeah.
to me that would be a no-brainer if not for that. But now we're again, I don't know how you do that. But it's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah. Well, I think Deadpool, and we don't know if they're going to carry out with the X-Force stuff. You know, like a lot of stuff is kind of up in the air since this whole merger thing happened earlier this year, and at least since it's been finalized. But there was a convention called CinemaCon in Las Vegas every year, and I think Alan Horn, who's like the president of Disney's like film division, he spoke about Deadpool and that whole sort of aspect. And they're gonna make more movies, but it sounds like they're gonna probably use like the Fox banner, like
Right.
20th Century Fox or Fox Searchlight or something like that. They're not gonna use like the Marvel Studios logo. So it kind of sounds like it might just sort of be kept the way it sort of is
Right.
that we've seen it the last couple of years. So that's interesting. But at the same time, I do want to see like Ryan Reynolds and Chris Hemsworth sort of like have a conversation, or Chris Pratt. You know, I think that would be really good to get into. But I don't
And
know. I
I
think
think that's interesting actually because the Guardians to me tone wise is the most likely thing for Deadpool to jump into.
yeah,
But
yeah,
again, those are like PG-13 movies. You know,
yeah,
I tone wise it fits, but you know, because Star Lord has made some pretty raunchy jokes in the past.
yeah.
But yeah, that's where I think he fits the best. But
Hmm.
I with Deadpool, you could just have him jump in because he doesn't have laws. He breaks the
No.
fourth wall. He could just
Yeah.
you could literally just show him jumping into a movie reel. You know what I mean? And
Hmm.
that would work because that's what he is. But yeah, it's interesting to see if they keep it as is, like he hinted at, or if they go a different way with it. But either way, Deadpool, you know, they're not going to ignore it.
No.
It's a
Makes
successful
too
franchise.
Yeah, it makes too much money. They make like $750 million worldwide, and
Right.
they rein those budgets back for those films. It's like 50 to 75, or it's under 100 million, which
Right.
for comic book movies nowadays, that's kind of a rare thing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So typically, it's like 200 million for, I don't know, 150 to 200 million is kind of your average one. I mean, you get your Avengers Endgame where it's like $350 million for that sucker. So, but yeah, it's nice to hear that Deadpool's going to be sort of kept. But I mean, introducing the X-Men, like I'm glad I don't have that job. You
Right.
know,
For
like
sure.
it's just the MCU right now is so established. Trying to like weave that in a, you got to do it in a careful way. You don't want to sort of like retcon certain things in the MCU. You already have Wanda Maximoff, who's, you know, she in the comics was a mutant, but now she's enhanced, right? She got her powers from the Mind Stone, right? From the scepter. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a really tricky thing.
definitely. Well, it'll be interesting to see in general where they go with the MCU, but because right now we
Mhm.
don't know anything besides Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and we'll see where that goes.
I've read a lot of stuff that it's going to be cosmic in Phase 4. A lot of cosmic stuff. We're getting a Black Widow movie. We're going to be getting a Doctor Strange 2, but um
We're
the,
getting a Black Widow movie.
Yeah, dude, they're like filming it right now.
Really? I didn't
I
know
think
that.
like they haven't announced anything, but
I thought it was a show
no, it's a
for.
movie.
Oh, I thought it was for Disney Plus or whatever.
No, that's
Mm.
Disney Plus has the Loki series. There's the Winter Soldier and Falcon series. There's a Vision and Scarlet Witch series. I think that
Is
might
there a
be.
is there a Ronin, a
There's a Hawk.
Hawkeye?
Yeah, there's. I believe there's a Hawkeye one. Maybe that's in between Infinity War and Endgame.
I'm super here for that. That sounds awesome. Him just going
Yeah,
around murdering people.
yeah.
I'm really into that. But
But yeah, I'm pretty sure the Black Widow movie's filming right now. I saw some
wow,
like set photos of her like walking down a sidewalk.
is it like an
And
origin thing?
I from what I've read, that seems to be leaning that way. I don't know for sure though.
I mean, that would make
Um,
the most sense right now with her,
yeah,
her end game fate. Let's say that.
right. But yeah, we have the Eternals, which is sort of there's been some casting sort of announcements like Angelina Jolie, Richard Madden, who's Rob Stark from Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah, I knew I recognized the name. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who's directing it, but no official dates or anything like that. But yeah, a lot of stuff I've read, it's leaning more towards the cosmic stuff. Which I mean, I guess after Avengers Endgame, that kind of makes the most sense. But they're gonna do a Black Panther too.
Right.
They're gonna do a Doctor Strange too. There's probably gonna be a Spider-Man 3 at some point. So yeah, lots to come. It'll be nice if they'll do another sort of like slate announcement like they did like 5 years ago when they
Yeah,
announced.
I think they'll probably come after Spider-Man, don't you?
Yeah, maybe. Well, they have D23, which is like Disney's sort of like Comic Con,
Right.
like their convention. They might do it there. Um, the last time they announced that full slate, it was like I don't remember everything they announced, but it was like the Winter Soldier up until in I guess Avengers 4, I think.
Okay.
When it was Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2,
Yep.
but then
Yep.
they later changed it to they're not like Part 1 and Part 2, they're like separate movies. But yeah, I think they'll do that at some point. Hopefully later this year sometime, because I know we're all itching to know what they're going to be doing in the future, and all looking forward to that stuff.
We want to
So,
see Feige's master plan.
yes,
We want to know.
the puppet master.